Communication Practicum Project. My movie I chose was about the Sing. The setting of the movie is a busy city full of talking animals. Most of the movie takes place inside of a theater owned by a koala bear that has fallen on hard times. The main characters of the movie are Buster Moon, the koala bear. He's the theater owner. Rosita the pig, and she's a mother of 25 piglets and a housewife. Mike the mouse is a street musician. Johnny Gorilla is a mobster's son. Ash is the punk rock porcupine. And Nina is the shy elephant. And there is a lot of other characters in the movie, and it's a very, very good movie. The movie is about a koala bear that has to save his theater from foreclosure. He produces a singing competition for all of the animals in the city, hoping to save his theater. He's offering this prize money. After the auditions, the theater falls to the ground because of some trouble-making bears. The animals all come together to get the theater up enough to have the competition. And he does lie to them about the money. He doesn't really have the money. There's 3 elements of communication: source, message, and feedback. The source is the person attempting to send the information. Buster Moon is telling the city about the singing competition. The message is the information you want to communicate. The message is that the competition is so important because the theater will be shut down. The feedback is a reaction of the people receiving the communication. The feedback is that all the city was excited about entering the singing competition. Topics of listening techniques. Listening techniques are very important. Buster Moon is telling everyone the songs they will be singing in the competition. He thinks he knows what songs they should be singing. Some of the animals want to pick their own songs. So they're not listening to him. He's telling them what he wants them to sing, and they're not caring because they want to do their own thing. Levels of listening. The level of listening that was being used is evaluated listening. Evaluative listening is common when engaging in negotiations with someone or someone is trying to persuade you with their ideas, attitudes, or opinions. Buster was trying to persuade them to do the songs that he thought they should do. Instead of everyone listening and calming down, they all moaned and complained. Internal, external barriers to effective listening. A lack of eye contact, The animals didn't want to listen to Buster, so they would avoid contact. When he was talking to him, they were looking at the ground and looking at each other and evaluating the message. They were not listening to the entire message. They were only hearing what they wanted to hear instead of listening to everything that he was saying. Clearly hearing the message. They were not clearly hearing the message because they wouldn't be quiet and listen. Correctly interpreting the message. Buster was telling them why these songs would be best for them, and he was right. Remembering and responding. The animals were not asking the appropriate questions. They were complaining and not listening. Internal, external barriers to effective listening. There's all kinds of barriers. There's all kinds of things that stop us from being good listeners and from understanding what's being told to us. There is a difference between hearing and listening. Hypothesize. These barriers could be overcome by taking the time to pay attention to Buster. Having eye contact would show him that they were listening. They may have understood the reasoning if they had made eye contact, if they'd have stood up straight, and if they'd have acted like they were interested in what he was saying. Their body language would tell Buster if they were paying attention or not. Listening goals. Rosita had 25 children. She thought that doing a conservative song was going to be better for her. And I would tell Rosita the pig that she should do the song that Buster chose. If she would be calm and not freak out about the song and dance, she would feel more confident. She didn't feel like she had it in her to sing the type of song that Buster thought she should do. Culture. The culture of the main characters varied very much. They were from all different parts. Rosita was an American housewife. Mike the Mouse lived and sang on the streets, and Johnny the Gorilla was from Europe, and he was a gangster's son. And they were all different. And they all had different personalities, and they all had different ways. Culture relation. The cultures relate because they all want the same thing. They want to be noticed for their talent and be awarded the prize money. They all have a desire to be better and accomplish their dreams. They were all there for a reason. If it was money or getting more in life, they were all there for a reason. And that was the relation that they all had to each other. And that's why everyone was there. Buster was raised with his culture. Buster was who he was because his father was, and he learned his ways from his dad. And he only wanted to make his dad proud. That's why that's why he had the theater. And the theater his father had left for him. 3 elements: verbal elements, nonverbal elements, and language elements. These are all important elements in listening and understanding for senders, receivers. The verbal elements is the attempt to get all of the animals to work together and to follow directions. That was hard to do because no one wanted to listen. The nonverbal elements are the way they act as they get mad and as they get upset, like yelling and crying. There was yelling and screaming, and there was crying, and everyone reacts in their own way. Language elements is that some of the characters were from different places. They all spoke English, and they attempted to communicate at times. They did. They tried to communicate, and sometimes it wasn't good communicating. Verbal and nonverbal communication. Verbal communication being talking, words, sounds. Nonverbal is body language and the way you move and things like that, your attitude. Johnny the Gorilla is the lookout for his dad and the gang as they rob a business. He is outside of the place waiting on them to come out. Johnny the Gorilla, his dad, and the rest of the gang are the characters in this scene. Johnny's singing a song when the cops pass by. They don't see him, but the alarm inside goes off. The gang comes running out. The gang runs out and jumps in the car to get away. They leave Johnny behind. He runs after them and jumps in the truck. And they're wondering why he wasn't there when they came out. And the language used of verbal communication was, guys, stay where you are. Johnny was telling the gang to stay because the cops were too close, and this would be a connotation because it is using emotion to tell them to stay. Where were you? Johnny's dad wanted to know where he was when he was supposed to be the lookout. And he wasn't. He was off somewhere else. He was singing, and he wasn't there paying attention and doing his job. Hold it right there. The cops heard the gang jump out the window. They came running, and this is what they said. Men are more forceful and direct. The cop was very direct about wanting them to stop, so yelling at them was enough for them to be like, oh no, he saw us. They didn't stop, of course. Nonverbal communication. The way that Johnny's leaning against the wall, singing a song, is a form of body language. He is showing that he is relaxed with his body leaning against the wall. They're running from the cop. This shows the urgency without saying a word. They needed to get away, so they were running. They leave Johnny behind. They look worried. Johnny looks worried because they're his way out. He doesn't have to stay. He doesn't have to say that he's worried because it's obvious by the way he's running and the look on his face, and he's terrified. Nonverbal. The nonverbal communication was very successful for the most part, but the gang didn't hear Johnny say that they needed to stay put, so they were found out. That was not successful. If they'd have heard him when he yelled, they would not have been caught, but they didn't. Nonverbal communication. Interpersonal relationship. Ash and Jamie. Ash is the punk rock porcupine, and her boyfriend, Jamie, Ash and Jamie have an attraction relationship. It says we are initially attracted to people because of what we have in common with them, but we grow on the basis of our differences. Ash and her boyfriend were together. They loved each other. They were both punk rock singers. And then Ash gets into the competition and her boyfriend doesn't. So then she begins to change and she's doing other things. And then her boyfriend doesn't like it. As the porcupine and her boyfriend love each other, and she comes home and finds him singing with another girl. They look like they're about to kiss, and they're in this interpersonal relationship of being together and having this attraction for each other. They yell and scream, and she is very upset. She cries, she slams the door in their face, and the porcupine she loves was with someone else. She was very upset. That was the interpersonal relationship. Johnny the gorilla and his father. That's who it is. Johnny and his dad have a family relationship. They're father and son. He is the boss of the gang, but they're still father and son. They have a long-term commitment to each other. Johnny is visiting his father in prison. His father is angry because he got busted. He asked Johnny where he was when the gang got busted. This is the second time. He said he left to do the singing competition tryouts. His dad says some mean things to him because he is so mad. Johnny tries to tell him that he can get the bail money if he wins, but his dad doesn't want to hear it. Johnny is upset because his dad is so mad. His dad is mad because Johnny left with the getaway car to go sing to singing tryouts, and he got busted. Their interpersonal relationship leads into the business, and he got caught, so his dad was very, very, very upset with him. His dad was very mean to him, and that was the interpersonal relationship. And it was very hard on Johnny. But his dad comes to light and sees, and he does come back, and he busts out of jail to go see Johnny sing in the competition. And it's very, very good movie. References. This is Lisa Garay. Thank you.